Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar for this morning. Today, we'll be going over the recent updates to the Illinois workNet resume building tool, some of its additional features, and a short overview of the resume writing guide. And I want to say up front that today's session is being recorded and will be made available on our YouTube channel for workNet. And everything that we will cover, as well as anything else on workNet, is free to use. For what we're going to be covering today, though, you will need to create an account or sign into your account to access these features with the resume building tool. And we will begin by going over that. So for the resume builder, what you'll need to do is you'll need to access illinoisworknet.com. And then you'll need to log into your account. And from here, there's a few different ways we can reach the resume builder. We can, from our dashboard dropdown, select resumes, or since we've logged in, we can now see this banner here. We can click resumes, and that'll redirect us to the new tool. And so when we're in skills first, it used to be optimal resume, but now it is skills first. The name of the tool. You'll see this, welcome page here, and over to the side here, we can see some of the things that we can do, such as create a resume, create a cover letter, an elevator pitch, a portfolio. We can do a practice interview. We can watch career advice videos, and we can take a short career assessment. And below this is our personal galleries. And so, any of the documents we create and save in the resume builder, they'll be accessed here. So, I've created or have samples of 8 resumes, 4 cover letters, and so forth through these other items here. And clicking, this box here will take us to a list of those saved documents. Our primary focus today, though, will be on creating a resume. So to get started, what we're going to do is click the Create a Resume button. And from here, we have the option to upload a resume and optimize keywords. We can edit an existing template, or we can just start from scratch and build a resume entirely section by section. Now, with uploading a resume, you can upload a resume and optimize it with a few keywords, but you don't have quite the full editing functionality as you would with editing a sample. And so we're going to choose edit a sample here. And we'll see a few different resume templates. So we can just kind of scroll through and see the different templates that are provided. And if there's one that we're interested in, we will click that. And then we can, from here, choose some different resumes based on experience and industry. And so you may have to do some keyword searches to narrow down, but you can see that there's over 600 samples in our library here. And using a keyword to for example, we'll say welding, and then we can see based on the name of this, we have Illinois workNet welding with experience and welding without experience. So you can find resume samples based on industry and experience level. So in this case, let's just say we have some experience. So we'll click preview, and we'll see a preview of the resume, the resume sample. And we're going to go ahead, and if we want to use this sample, we'll click this Use This Sample button. And so now on this page, we have the information that's copied over. We have, since I'm logged into my account, it's populated with my name and email address and some other address information I have here just on test. But we can see below that the sample has, the sample resume has populated over under my name. And so since it's a sample, it's clearly not mine. What we can then do is click the edit button. And here we can, customize the information. We can change, you can update our name, our email address, phone number, address. If we need to add a headline, we can do so here, or a website. We can add, the name and then a URL to it. Throughout the, building sections within Resume Builder, you might see this examples text here. And so if you click this, this will pull up a window with, what examples of, that row as you're going through the resume of what you can just plug in. So if I just wanted to check mark that and click done, it'll add that example right in there. And so when you click at it, this took us to our contact information first. You have tabs for the different sections in the resume, and they'll differ based on the resume samples. And so, the next tab we have here is our summary of certifications. And again, since these are not mine, but the samples, any we need to remove, we can just click to delete and remove them from the resume. If we needed to, edit this for whatever reason, the license name, we can do so here, and the organization as well. If we need to add more information, such as a description or the date it was issued, we can do that as well. And if we need to add any new ones, we have the drop down here, or the button here, to add a certification name. We'll add some text in there. Let's just add a date too. And click save, and we can see that that information was updated right then and there. So in our next tab, we have related experience. So if we needed to, say, yeah, I was a welding intern, but it wasn't with, this organization, it was with a different one. In a different location. We can adjust that there as well. And we can see in the description here, maybe I didn't use, this one isn't quite as relevant to me, but I can take that one out and add a new one in. And again, we can save that information and we'll see that it updated based on what was entered. And so it's a very, you can see that the structures of the resume, and when you go to edit it, it's very, structured and focused on, this is the section, here's the content, here's how you can, edit, delete it, or add your own. And there's tips at the top of these sections too, to kind of give you guidance. So, what should I put in my education and training? Well, we see this, note right here, highlight the relevant education for the position you're seeking. If you haven't earned a degree, you can still list classes and training received. So it is helpful throughout, just to, why is this section in my, if this was the sample that I was looking for based on the industry I'm working in and level of experience, why might I want to include this section in my resume? And the note here at the top will kind of reveal that. And so for the coursework, a little bit different look in just the title of the courses, but again, if we need to edit or delete them, we can do so very easily. And so if we needed to remove a section at all, so maybe, in this case, I don't have volunteering experience. If we need to remove a section, we can do so by clicking these bullets and then clicking delete section. And we can see volunteer is no longer there. And if we, on the other side of things, if we needed to add it, we can click add section. And then from our dropdown, we can select from the list here. And if we needed to add a section that wasn't identified in the list above, at the very bottom of the list, we have an option for custom, where we can then add a name to our section. Click save here. And then we can see that that has been added in here. And we get a text box where we can make those additional changes, additions to our resume. If we need to reorder the section, so say maybe we wanted to have our summary of certifications closer to the bottom, we have this tab right here, this button here, reorder sections, and we'll get a list of the sections that are included in this resume, and it is easy as dragging and dropping. So we'll just click on summary of certifications, move it to the bottom. Maybe we'll have our custom section name above our related coursework. But once we've done positioning the sections where we want them to go, we'll just click this done button. And then the resume will refresh and we'll see that that experience is at the top now. Related coursework is below the custom example, and that the list of certifications are at the bottom. So again, very easy for users and customers to come in here, edit their sample or edit their resume, based on the samples provided, and update it, based on their experience and work history. If we needed to change the font, we can do so as well by selecting from the drop down here along with the font sizes. There's nothing to, the options are 8's a little small, but we don't have anything larger than 12, so it's not going to become the sprawling, lengthy resume. And if we wanted to change the template, so maybe we didn't quite like the look of this resume and how it looks, but we wanted to switch to something else, we can easily do so without undoing any of the changes we've made. I think we selected Eisenhower, so maybe we're looking more for something like this Gatewood example. So we'll click that. And then all that information we had in the previous sample has just been updated over here, different placements, but it is all there. And so that's how you can switch the resume template. Additionally, at the top here, we have a few icons, just above the resume section. If we needed to download it as a Word doc, we can do so here. If we wanted to, right next to this is clone or create a copy of this resume, we can do so by clicking this. And in our galleries, which we reference where all our resumes are saved, it'll be included in there. And so we can see on the title, we have clone attached at the end of the name. So for example, if we go to our resumes, let's go back even further actually. So this was the landing page that we landed on when we access skills first, the resume builder. And our personal galleries, we had 8 before, but we had 10 since we created the new one and made a copy. You can see also that text there just below the number 2 today. So we'll click that and we'll see that this is the one that we created, and the one at the top is the one that we copied. And you can create a copy of a resume, if you or a job seeker really likes what they have with this one resume, but they want to see a different variation of it, a different version with a different template, or they wanted to mix sections up or take some edit accordingly. That way they can have a main copy. If they wanted to tweak it further, they can create a copy of their main resume and make changes as needed. And so also to re-access the resume, once you go to galleries and resumes, you just click the title, it'll take you right back to the resume builder here. One of the I think one of the more exciting the features that we didn't have before in the previous version is this AI keyword suggestions button. So if we click this, it'll open up a window here. And so this is where we can paste a job description and get recommendations for terminology to use in the resume to increase the likelihood that this resume will pass the ATS and get into hands of hiring managers. And for those who aren't familiar with ATS, that stands for Applicant Tracking System, which is a software that employers use to help sort, organize, and store applicants' resumes and cover letters. And the system allows for filtering features that employers can use to narrow down their results. So making sure the job seekers and their resumes, their documents for the job posting reflect the terminology used is important. And so to get a sense of how this works, another tab here, let me find a job description. For a welder. Let's see. Moment as I copy and paste this over. So for example, we've got it copied. We'll just paste the job description in there if this is the job that that we were really looking for. And we'll click this Get Suggestions button. And so from here, what we'll see is that we have 5 matching keywords and there's 88 suggested keywords. So 5 keywords that are in the job description also appear in my resume here. And we can see that those, which ones do match are the ones that are highlighted here in green. And off to the right here below, we have the ones that have a red circle next to them. Those are the ones that are not included. That isn't to say that every single recommendation, every single suggested keyword should be added in there, but you can use this to strengthen the resume, using the terminology or work experience. A lot of these terms just demonstrate that if these keywords do in fact match and line up with the job seekers work experience and education and history, then those should be included in there. So if I were to theoretically turn in this resume as it is, if an employer has that applicant tracking software, I only have 5 matching keywords, they may not even really get a good look at it, especially if there's a lot of applicants. And I do want to note too that all the resume templates and samples that we have included in the resume builder, they are they are ATS friendly. So, it won't be because of formatting or, any issues there. But it really does come down to, just making sure that a job seeker's resume, has the appropriate keywords and terminology based on the job description, that they're applying for. Let's see. Oh, there are actually a couple icons up here that I did not include to go over. So the next one we have here at the top next to that cloning and copying is share. And we can share a resume with someone. So what we have is we can share the resume with a viewer. And for permissions with, we're just going to change this to anybody with a link. So, if you have a client who is working on a resume and wants to share it with you, you can select this option, and they'll have to select this option, and then they can copy and paste the link to you. Additionally, and that's just the viewer access, so they'll have the ability, you would have the ability to view the resume. And there's a couple other options here with the share resume with, and I want to make sure that I get this correct. So another option is the reviewer. So you can share a resume with reviewer and you can send them the link. And so with reviewer, what that means is, viewer, they could just see it. You'd just be able to see the resume, but reviewer, you would be able to, view the resume, and just below the resume, there's a comment box. So you'd be able to add a comment here that your client would be able to see when they work on their resume. And so you can add a comment, a text comment here, or we have what we have here, a media comment. So you could record a audio or video clip and add it here, record audio only, or you could upload a file, which I believe are just, I think they're essentially the main ones, Word, PDF, Excel, PowerPoint. But more importantly is it can only be, when you upload a file here, it can only be up to 100 megabytes. And so you have the option to add a comment and feedback that way. And that's what we mean by share with a reviewer. And we have editor as an option as well, that the customer could share that with you. And for editor, you'd be able to see it, you'd be able to add comments, but you'd also be able to make adjustments to the resume as well. And then the last button we have here is a drop down. We can delete the resume. If we want to download a PDF copy, we can do so, or we can edit the name and the description. So for example, today's date, March 1st. We just add a note in the description here. Click save, and we should see that the title has changed, and that description of the resume has been included here as well. See, I'm just looking through to see if there's anything else I wanted to mention about the resumes and the resume builder. We can go over some of the other tools, but if you do have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat while we're going over some of these tools here. But I do want to go back to, if we go back to galleries, cover some of these other features we have. So the cover letters is set up very, the editor is very similar to the resume builder. And so this, what we clicked on takes me back to, the cover letters I've previously saved. And so if we add one, again, we'll see that, upload a cover letter, edit a sample, or start from scratch and build one. So in this case, we're going to edit. Again, we'll see the different templates that we have. And so let's select, say, maybe this one. And we can see that we have 19 total different cover letters, or the cover letter types. So we have an acceptance offer, declining offer, following up with an employer, job networking, a lot of different uses for cover letters. We have those here. So based on what's being sought, you can make that selection here. So let's say accepted the offer, and then from there it'll filter through to is it early in your career, middle of your career, later career? Do you know the name of the person who's going to be receiving, or who may be reading the cover letter, or maybe you don't. Kind of for all those different situations, you have different samples here. So in this case, we'll click. Say we wanted this first one here, accept offer one. We'll click preview. If we needed to go back and pick a different sample, we can do so, but let's say this is the one that we wanted. And again, my information will pull over here. And we can see, a lot of the same features here, these icons for downloading, copying, sharing, or editing or removing. the font, changing the template, or AI keyword suggestions. But edit, if we click this, we'll see those tabs again that we can easily navigate to, update our information and save those changes. And so you can see the cover letter builder is nearly identical as far as functionality and editing and making changes to any documents. At the top here too, something I want to point out is we have this, what we call breadcrumb trail. So we're on this accept offer one, early career recipient name. That's the document we're working on. But if we click behind to letters, that'll take us back to the cover letters that we've saved and worked on. Galleries, that'll take us back to personal galleries where all the saved documents are. And if I click my name, that'll take me back to that landing page here where we can see the options here to create new documents as needed. Let's see. And another one that I want to cover is the portfolio. So if we wanted to create a portfolio of our work, we can do so here. So we'll just name it with the date of today. And from here, we can create and customize our portfolio. So if we wanted to have a folder for the certifications or credentials that we've earned, we can create a folder for that. We wanted to add another one for our achievements. We can do so here. Another one for we can do so here. And so from here we can see we have 3 folders here. If we open this up, we can create subfolders, or we can just add files or links to our work. So let's say you wanted to showcase, the website or artwork or, your portfolio of work and accomplishments, you can do so here. So let's say, my workNet. I helped update my workNet homepage. We can see that there's a link for that here. And if we needed to add, another file here, let's say, about this file here. We can also drag and drop the file in there so that, let's say if this was a artwork or photograph I was really proud of, I could add that in here. We can include that here as well. And we can see, when we go back here, we didn't have any items added to these other 2 folders, but certifications folder, we have 2 items. We can click on there and then see what those items are. And so that's how you can set up a portfolio. It's really simple to add a folder, add files, add links. If you need to reorder them, you can do so as well. Kind of the drag and drop feature, just like what we saw in the resume section. So you can see that those 2 items are now in that folder in the middle there. We can also change the appearance if we wanted it to appear as a gallery. I don't really have anything too much in here though, but if we wanted a grid, we can just change the layout or the appearance of the portfolio. And again, to share, copy, or save, those icons are there as well. And another feature that I want to cover is go back here, is the elevator pitch. So elevator pitch, of course, a brief summary to quickly define a person, service, or product. Great to have at the ready as a professional, so you can just very quickly and concisely say what it is that you do and what your interests are. Because you never know when you might need one at a conference. You can make that connection, or just in passing at any time. So to create an elevator pitch, we'll click that button to create and give it a name. And I know we're going pretty quickly over some of these other ones, it's not spending as much time in the resume builder, but I do want to note, and I'll show you where you can access these. But we do have instructional documents and tutorial videos on each of these features that we're covering here. But we'll get to that, how to access those shortly. But to create elevator pitch, you can see we've created one here. And then now we can add media, or we can add a transcript. So for example, let's say the text here, get some sample text again ready. If the elevator pitch, you want to share the text of it, or you just want to kind of write it out and think about what you want to say, how to frame it, and edit along the way. Let's just say, for the case of the example, this was our elevator pitch. So we can enter that text here and click save. And then, we have, the text there. And if we wanted to kind of hear how it sounded, what we could do is we could, record the audio only, or, audio video, or, you can add a file and link to an audio video link if you needed to. But if we wanted to hear how it sounded, if the words that we were saying, kind of made sense, and just another way to hear it out loud and see how that kind of informs what the elevator pitch should be, or what it should sound like. The customer can record themselves. So for instance, this is what it would look like if they were to record the audio only. They'll click select there, and then they'll have this player here where you can record the audio. And so to record that, they would just click this. And then you might see a note that skillsfirst.com wants to use your microphone, click allow. And then we see this kind of window player here where we can record by pressing the red button. I think this also just gets into or if you hover over the microphone, it'll show what microphone is being used on your computer. And you can see a timer of 2 minutes. And I think elevator pitches are typically 30 seconds, I think, is kind of the best practice. So I think that's why there's a 2-minute timer here. And I'm not sure if, when we play this back, you'd actually be able to hear what's being said, but, for the sake of, what this would look like when they're recording it, they'd press this record button, and then they can see that the timer has started to go down. And to, say, as they were talking, they were able to complete, they read from their, transcript that they saved, and they wanted to see how this sounded, the elevator pitch. Once they have finished recording themselves, they'll just click this button again to stop, and they can play it back here. And I think with the way I have Zoom sharing the screen right now, you won't be able to hear anything, but they'll be able to play it back. And if they wanted to re-record, they would just click that button, and it will kind of overwrite what they've, take two sort of thing. So they'd be able to, play it back, record over that. And, if this was the version that they wanted to move forward with, they would click this save media button. We'll get the note that it has been successfully recorded and saved. And when we click done, the page will refresh, and we'll see this window player here that'll have the recording of our elevator pitch. And just below it is that transcript. And so you can review it that way. And again, if you needed to replace the, maybe once you played this, you didn't quite like how, maybe there were too many pauses, or you wanted to include something else. What you can do is you can replace the video file, the audio file that you recorded. You can also, if we really needed to change our transcript, we're like, well, I don't know if I want to say this or, include this, we can take that out and click save. And we'll see that that transcript's been updated. And if we needed to, remove this, video file, or this recording file, we could. Additionally, as an example too, there are elevator pitch scripts. So we can, to access those, we'll click this circle here and click view pitch scripts. And then we can see, what, some of these examples are. We have 157 in the system. And so, hello, my name is David Garvey, and I'm a recent graduate of SIU Carbondale, seeking employment in the field of welding. Thank you for taking the time to view my video resume today. So maybe not quite that one for, an elevator pitch, but if we did, as we're looking through, and, maybe we can even do a keyword search too to see what terms are included. If that was something that we really wanted to highlight, we can use that search here. And if there was, one that we really wanted to use in place of our current script, we have the note here. See a paragraph you like, copy and paste it into your transcript. We'll go ahead and copy this example, go back, and to edit our transcript, we'll click this circle here, edit transcript, and paste that in there. And we can see that that's been updated here. And so that's how we can kind of create and update our elevator pitch if we need to. And the last tool that I want to cover in skills first, we go back to our breadcrumb trail here to Illinois workNet. Actually, I went too far. Go back to my saved documents. The last one I want to do is take a practice interview. So we'll click this, and this will show our collection of interview questions, or our collection of different types of interviews. So there's over 1,000 interviews that we have in the system here. And so if this was an interview for, let's say dental school, we can, or why don't we just start with that? We'll do a keyword search, and we'll see that there are 6 results. And so we have, number 1, number 2, number 3. Is this to gain admission? Is this hire into a dental school, or is it hiring? You can see based on the description provided. So let's say this was a for admission to a dental school. So let's click this as the example we want to use. So we can see that here's what this interview looks like. And so we have our questions here, question 1 to 10. First one is tell me about yourself. And so we have a video here and a description up here. So for example, we have tell me about yourself. So let's click the video. You may not be able to hear this, but
tell me about yourself.
It's a very short 1-second video. But what we have in the interview tool is are videos of the recordings of another person asking the question directly to the camera. So it is a kind of a good way to practice your interviews. Up above here, I want to point out when you click question coach, this just talks a little bit more about the question. Why is it being asked, and how might you be able to best answer that question as someone who's being interviewed. And so we can just see based on the description, the interview is asking this open-ended icebreaker question, looking for some introductory information from you to see how you handle yourself. Be prepared in advance with a rundown of your strongest competencies and qualifications that are relevant to the internship you're pursuing. And more information there. So it talks about you ever been through an interview and you're kind of wondering, why is this question being asked? Do I really have to answer it? Why is this important? How can I, what should I do to answer this question? This question coaching here, that'll talk more about it, about the importance of the question and how to address it. And so, we can look through our questions here, by, pressing these buttons, previous question, next question. Additionally, we have this drop down arrow here where, when we select an interview to think about what we wanted to use, we just press this drop down button and then we can just see, at a quick glance, what are the questions that are included in here. So let's say this was one that we wanted to take. So, we reviewed the questions and thought, yeah, let's do this one. We'll click start interview. And so then this will be where we can add our answers. So we have our question coaching here where we can see the video, but so we had, tell me about yourself is question 1. And this is the one we wanted to answer. We'll click this add answer button. And here we have our options to add different types of answers. One for just text. Maybe this is how we would, want to start our approach to answering questions, to type it out, or you can go straight to recording, audio, video file, audio only. You can upload a file and audio video link here as well. So again, the to record, it's different tool, but same. We were looking at elevator pitches before. Now we're looking at interview questions. It's going to be the same interface. We'll click to record audio. We'll see this player again. We can press the record button, see the timer start to go, answer our question, whichever question it is, click stop. We can play it back, see if we like that answer, or we can re-record it and then we can save that file. And we'll see that it's been successfully recorded. And so then, depending on, the size of the file, it may take a moment to, upload here, but you can certainly refresh and periodically check what, the status of that file. Let's see, is there anything else? And I want to say too, I believe I mentioned this for the interview, or sorry, for the resume, but for resumes, cover letters, elevator pitches, portfolios, practice interview, all of those things, these can be shared and reviewed with, again, if you are working with, customers, they can share this with you. So we can click the share button. They would be the ones who would need to click the share button, click viewer, and then anybody with a link, and they can copy and send the link to you. And depending on what they've selected, whether it's just to view, whether it's just to leave comments, or to the editor was the other one. They, depending on the permissions, you'd be able to, leave feedback or even add files or comments, about the different, things that they've created in the resume building tool. Okay, so then, we wait a minute, refresh that, and we can see that that recording for tell me about yourself, that's been answered here as well. And with the video recording, it's really interesting because it can give you a sense of watching and listening to yourself and the responses you're giving. So you can see, from the interviewer's perspective, when they ask that question, how are you answering it? And, whether it's, body language or, too many pauses, or, maybe you're not quite answering the question as, concisely as maybe you should, you can, kind of review that and see and, practice and update the approach from there. Okay, I see a few notes in the chat here. Awesome resource. Thanks for sharing. Absolutely. Happy to share this resource. Is this site free for anyone to use no matter what state they live in? So Illinois WorkNet is free to use. All the tools and features are available to use. Anyone can create an account and access these resources. I know, especially with kind of the Quad Cities area, someone may, live across the Illinois border, but maybe they work in Illinois, in cases like that, yes, they can, come to Illinois WorkNet, use the site, access these resources, but they are free to use and access. There's a lengthy terms of use that must be accepted to use the tool. Are there any elements in particular we should note for job seekers? Admittedly, I'm not sure about that. I don't know if I have read the terms of use myself, but it would be needed to, accept the terms of use in order to use the tool. Okay, so that kind of covers it as far as like the resume builder itself. Again, if there are any questions, please feel free to add those in the chat. I know I mentioned that I wanted to go over to the resume writing guide real quick here, which can be accessed a couple different ways on illinoisworknet.com. If we scroll down to it should actually be below these icons, but view more, that'll take us to all the guides that we have included on Illinois WorkNet. But in the menu here on the Illinois WorkNet site, if we click menu and open the tab for qualify for jobs, we'll see resume writing guide. So when we click that, it'll take us to the guide that we have for resume writing. And so if you're not familiar with our guides, this is how a lot of them are set up. We have, several for exploring careers, training and credentials, preparing for college, social media, resume writing, layoff assistance, several different guides. But this is our structure of how we have our guides. So we have an image on the left, and to the right, we have a title and a description of what that is included. And typically the first one is always just an introduction to spell out what is included in the guide. And to navigate through it, you can click these arrows here, and that'll just take you to the next slide. Or in between the arrows, we have a menu, and you can select the option there to see, jump right to that slide. Additionally, depending on the slide, there might be a couple different buttons. We have, in this case, learn more. This will take us to an article. Start building. In this case, that'll take us to our resume builder. But if we click learn more, actually, I want to get ahead of myself. So the resume writing guide, introductory slide. So, if you're not sure, how to go about, beginning to write your resume, this resume writing guide is a good start. So we have slides and an article for each of these, topics here. So this is just getting prepared to write your resume, just actually getting started, and what maybe you should do and collect and gather to have all that information. And then the next one we have here is start writing. So now that you've gathered all your information, you can begin to start writing your resume. And it includes tips on what to include in the resume that could really stand out for employers. Next, we have customizing your resume. So for different companies, different jobs, you'll want to kind of adjust the resume that you have so that your resume kind of matches, or that resume matches what the job the job being sought is. And then we have preparing for an interview. So we have an article on tips on how best to prepare for an interview, but and also tying your resume into that interview. And we've gone over the interview practice tool, so that's also going to be mentioned in there. This is the article that I do want to focus on, the resume builder tools. If we click this learn more button, this will take us to an article that shows, it just kind of briefly describes the Illinois WorkNet resume building tool. And within this, in this list here, there's an article for each of those features that we discussed. So resume builder, the cover letter, the portfolio builder, interview prep, and elevator pitch. And as a very brief blurb of what's included in the article. And so opening all these up, and this is what more or less they're all going to look like, our articles. But especially for the resume building tools, we'll have, the body of the text here of the article. In some cases, it'll just show you the steps to do. So name your resume, choose the sample option, select your template, edit your template, download and share. And off to the right here, we have an instructional document that just kind of walks through the process of getting started in workNet, accessing the resume builder, and how to edit and using some of those different features there. So if we open this up, this is the PDF, and it includes screenshots along the way of, here's what you should click in order to, access this. Click this to create a resume. And this is just going through some of those steps that we covered, choosing the sample. If you need to drag and drop a file, you can do so. Selecting the resume, sample, searching through it. So it includes screenshots along the way to kind of guide the job seeker. And additionally, we have a video, a short video, just walking through, kind of what we're doing on this call. Just walking through the system and explaining how to use it and how to edit, navigate, share, and update, documents. And so this is just for the resume builder. If I close this, this is our article for the cover letter builder. We have our instructions and short video here as well. And then same for the portfolio builder and the interview tool and the elevator pitch. So we do have articles with instructions and videos that talk a little bit more than kind of what I quickly glossed over in this call here. And going back to the resume writing guide, there's just a couple more slides. One was additional resources on resume writing. This includes additional articles, videos, and other resources. And same for social media resources for job seekers. Because I know you want to make sure you have an appropriate online presence if you're looking for a job. And these resources speak more to that. And I believe that is all for the resume writing guide. I do see one other question in the chat. Could you send us the link to your YouTube? Yes, absolutely. So at the footer of pretty much any page on workNet, if you see this footer down here, we have links to all our different social media accounts, but I'm just going to copy and paste this and share it in the chat. This is the link to our YouTube. And I'm going to say before the end of the day, this video will be uploaded on there. I know we have just a few minutes left. I want to share one last thing before opening up to any final questions. If you haven't already, we are holding a webinar next week on how to navigate Illinois WorkNet for partners. So in this call next week, we're going to be navigating Illinois WorkNet and show you how you can assist customers with the tools and resources that are available. And the link to register for that I have just added in the chat. But at this time, if there are any questions, we got about 5 minutes left. I am happy to answer those. Right. Well, I don't see or hear any other questions, but like I said, the resume builder tool, I think it's really great. And there's a lot of different features in there. Very big library of different samples and resources and a lot of features that you can do to customize, your resume, cover letter, elevator pitch, portfolio, practice for an interview. It's really helpful. I think, and is a great resource that I'm glad, the recent updates, we've heard a lot of positive feedback on it. So definitely happy to share this with you all. But with that, I do also want to just say again that this has been recorded. We will post this to that YouTube channel that I shared in the chat there before the end of the day. And again, if you'd like to join us next week, that's March 7th. Tuesday, March 7th, the same time, 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. But we've also shared that link to registration in the chat. But with that, we'll go ahead and close out. And I want to thank you all once again for coming to this webinar. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks, everybody.